Welcome to the Deep Roto AI-powered fantasy football podcast, your ultimate guide to dominating the 2025 season with cutting-edge insights. On today's show, we're locking in your pre-draft strategy and breaking down the QB blueprint you need for a championship run. Which passers are worth the early pick? Who's the hidden gem? Let's dive in.
All right, let's talk about it. One of the single biggest calls you have to make in your fantasy football draft is when you pull the trigger on a quarterback. Today, we're going to build the ultimate QB playbook for 2025. We're fusing two expert sources, a classic draft guide and a really deep strategy video, into one clear, actionable plan.
And listen, the stakes are incredibly high. As the experts over at Flock Fantasy put it, this one position is where most fantasy managers completely blow it. If you get it right, you've got a huge advantage every single week. But if you get it wrong, man, you are fighting an uphill battle all season long. So, let's make sure that doesn't happen to you. It's time to build your draft plan, and we're going to do it tier by tier.
Okay, let's dive right in, starting at the very top of the draft board. This is Tier 1, the Kings. We're talking about the undisputed premium guys who cost a high draft pick. But the real question is, are they actually worth that price?
No real surprises here, right? You know the names. The consensus top tier is made up of three of the biggest superstars in the entire league: Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson. Any one of these guys could potentially win you your league. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, especially when you look at the debate around Patrick Mahomes. On one hand, our draft guide calls him the gold standard, a lock for huge numbers. But then, Flock Fantasy brings up a pretty concerning trend. His actual fantasy production has kind of dipped over the last couple of years as that offense has changed. It's the classic debate, incredible ceiling versus a slightly worrying reality.
And that brings us to Josh Allen, who a lot of people see as the safest elite pick because his consistency is just insane. I mean, look at the data. He's finished as a top 3 fantasy QB in points per game in 4 of the last 5 seasons. That kind of track record, it gives him the highest floor of any quarterback in fantasy, plain and simple.
Even the folks in Vegas seem to agree on this pecking order. You see Mahomes right there at the top, the favorite to lead the league in passing, with Allen right behind him. But what's really telling here is who's missing. Where's Lamar Jackson? It's a great reminder that his elite fantasy value doesn't come from just pure passing. It comes from his legs and his absolutely game-breaking rushing ability.
Okay, let's move on. What if you miss out on one of those top 3 kings? Well, then you enter the territory of the challengers. These are the guys who have the talent and, just as importantly, the situation to potentially crash that Tier 1 party. And this tier is absolutely stacked with exciting players. You've got the young phenom C.J. Stroud, the pure pocket magician Joe Burrow, the tush-push touchdown machine Jalen Hurts, and the electrifying rookie Jaden Daniels. So much upside here.
First up, let's talk about C.J. Stroud. I mean, he is coming off a rookie season that was nothing short of historic, and everybody is buzzing about him.
And the Texans saw that and decided to go all in. Just look at the weapons he's throwing to this year. They went out and got Stephon Diggs, he's still got Nico Collins, and Tank Dell is coming back. That is one of the most loaded receiving groups in the entire league, which makes his sky-high projection feel totally believable.
Then you have Joe Burrow. When he's healthy, he is a passing purist dream. The draft guide projects he could easily top 4,500 yards. But, and this is a big but for fantasy, here's the catch. In your standard leagues where you only get 4 points for a passing touchdown, his lack of rushing really hurts. He struggles to match the week-to-week fantasy scores of a guy like Jalen Hurts. Speaking of whom, Jalen Hurts is such a fascinating case study. On one side of the coin, his production is just elite. He's averaged 22 points per game. But on the flip side, there are some pretty big red flags. His passing attempts were way down last year, and now with Saquon Barkley in the backfield, you gotta wonder if the Eagles lean even more on the run, especially when they get near the goal line.
So, here's the critical question. What happens if you miss out on the Kings and the challengers? That's when you enter the land of the solid, reliable veterans. This is the point in the draft where you pivot from chasing that massive upside to just securing a safe, reliable floor. And this tier is really defined by two guys, Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert. These are proven quarterbacks. We've seen them support top-tier receivers. We've seen them put up big numbers. Now, they might not have that league-winning rushing upside like the guys in Tier 1, but you know what you're going to get? A solid, dependable starter week in and week out.
And drafting one of these guys is a very deliberate strategic choice. You're basically saying, okay, I'm trading the chance for a top 3 finish at quarterback for the security of knowing my QB isn't going to lose me my week. It's a classic lower risk, lower reward play.
All right, now for my favorite part. Let's say you've waited. You loaded up on elite running backs, you got your star wide receivers. Now it's time to go bargain hunting. Hunting for those hidden gems in the late rounds that could end up winning you your entire league. Our experts point to 3 different types of players you can target here. 3 paths to finding that late round gold. First, you've got the bounce back rusher. Second, you can look for a breakout candidate. And finally, there's the overlooked system QB who just gets the job done.
The absolute poster child for that bounce-back rusher is Kyler Murray. He's a super dynamic dual threat, and now he gets a truly elite weapon in Marvin Harrison Jr. And get this stat, Kyler has never finished a healthy season lower than QB 12 in points per game. So his absolute rock-bottom floor is a starting fantasy quarterback, and you can get him at a huge discount.
For those other types, look no further than Bryce Young and Brock Purdy. Young is your classic breakout candidate. He's got better weapons now, including Deontay Johnson, and could take a big leap in year 2. And then there's Brock Purdy, the ultimate system QB. People love to overlook him, but he runs that loaded 49ers offense and has already shown he can be a high-end QB2 with real QB1 upside.
So we've walked through all the tiers, from the kings all the way down to the sleepers. What does this all actually mean for you on draft day? Well, it really all comes down to one fundamental choice. Look, it really boils down to one of these 2 core strategies. And the right one for you depends heavily on your league settings. If you're in a league where you start fewer players, grabbing that elite QB early can be a killer advantage. But if you're in a league with multiple flex spots where you need depth, waiting on a QB and loading up everywhere else is a proven winning strategy.
So here is the final, most crucial takeaway. Our sources agree on this. There is a massive tier drop, a cliff, right after that second tier of challengers. You can't get caught in no man's land. You have to commit to a path before your draft even starts. So when you're on the clock, what's it going to be? Are you going to pay that premium price for a king, or are you going to build your depth and hunt for a league-winning sleeper?